Alrighty, so this is a tour of my rock project thing that you've heard so much about, and I know you're dying to see it. Starting no place in particular, walking up to the property, so here's some rocks. And this is sort of an enclosed, raised bed here kind of thing with, of course, rocks around it that leads to a path. This is a beginning of a path that I made last summer, and everywhere you see these paths I dug down probably about a foot. I had to move all the dirt out of there, put landscape fabric down, fill with crushed stone, different sizes actually, bigger crushed stone and then the smaller, prettier stuff. Here I had to work around a tree that was growing in the middle of where I wanted my path to go. Path that winds all the way around that way, but we'll just take a little detour down this way, and you can see this little border of rocks goes basically down to where I started out there at the corner of the fence. And I try and have in certain places like certain rocks that are ideally shaped, like at this prominent location here we have a rock that, and just for scale, there's my foot. Anyway, okay, proceeding back up from whence we came. The noise you hear in the background, the headlights, that's Atherton Street, which is the main sort of east-west-ish drag through State College. So back to this path where I was, there's my tree growing through the middle of the rocks. Let's get on the path, actually. So this circles around here through the backyard, and at a certain point it branches off. There's another little path, goes kind of through the woods here, and this little path makes it easier to spread mulch and rocks, because I can back my truck right up here and unload it and bring wheelbarrows full of rocks or mulch or whatever, wherever they need to go. So here's that little border of rocks that extends around this bushes and goes over to here. Anyway, so back on the little path. Over to the right here, because I had to raise up all of the grade here, I had to fill in with dirt, and you can't just sort of dump all that dirt next to a tree trunk. I had to build these sort of tree wells out of, you guessed it, rocks. So for example, here's a tree well for a pretty big tree. It's about 18 inches in diameter, the tree. I've got some other, they get deeper because I filled in this area. I dug out all this dirt from where the driveway project, which you'll see in a minute, is. I filled it up and raised the grade considerably. Had to make all these tree wells to keep the dirt away from the base of the trunks of the trees. And we'll plant some stuff in here at some point. For now, we just have a few little hydrangeas. Anyway, back through. Kind of dark. It's already getting dark these days at 7:30, which sucks. All right, back onto the path here. I just hit a spider web with my forehead. All right, and so the path continues, and this is one of my favorite little things I did. I built this retaining wall. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, all the rocks are free. I do not pay money for rocks. I look up on Craigslist for people who have rocks, or I just go along the side of the road, side of the highway. Lots of rocks here in PA. So I just go out with my truck early on a Sunday morning and load up with rocks. I have some little solar powered lights here. I basically just put pressure treated 2x6s, 4x6s, sorry, along the top to cap this little retaining wall. It's only about maybe 14 inches high. Okay, so we proceed on, and here, this section I built a few years ago and piled up rocks for this retaining wall, which you can't see because it's so dang dark. Oh well, maybe I'll have to do this over again. And of course filled in all this dirt here. Anyway, So we come around. Oh, and off in the distance there's another tree with rocks around it. Lots of rocks. And this is sort of like the nicest section, I think. This is a patio. Used to be just grass here. This whole area took me a long time. I had to dig down from about a foot to about 2 feet, sloping away from the house so that the water would have someplace to go away from the house. It used to be just a big puddle in this area. Again, sort of a retaining wall here. I had to fill in the grass, which is now, I think I have grubs. Oh, here comes Miss Callie. Hi, Callie. And she's wondering, who the heck am I talking to? And I have a fire pit here. And this is tragic, really. This big flat rock here sat in the creek behind my other house, my rental house. It's just perfectly beautiful and flat. Managed to get it out of the creek, and it's huge. It's about 3 feet by 2 feet and about 4 inches thick, so it's heavy. Got it out of the creek on sort of a stretcher that I made. Got it up the creek, put it in the truck, got it over here, and of course, you know, sitting here next to the fire pit, the first time I had a fire, it cracked. Now, it cracked in a kind of an interesting way. There's the crack, but I'm still not real happy that it cracked. Anyway, so my patio, this I did 2 summers ago. This pretty much consumed my summer. Let me get a view from the little deck up here. And there's Bianca, my favorite kitty. So, okay. Continue around. And we get into the newer section of the project. That's Earl, my right-hand man. Can't move rocks without Earl. And what I'm working on now, this driveway was just put in. Well, it's the same driveway, but I widened it over there. I'll get to that spot in a minute. And I put this sort of extension over here for Earl. It used to just run across there without that T coming off. So that extension of the driveway is about 22 feet by 22 feet or so. And I dug down, I did all that by hand. It's about a foot deep. Had to transplant the turf to my other house, actually put it in the back of the truck in layers between pieces of cardboard and transplanted it because I could, you know, I had a use for it, didn't want to just throw it out. But tons and tons of dirt went to filling in that other area where those tree wells are, and also back here, actually in my neighbor's yard. But I made it look nice. I gave him some tree rings too, and filled in and mulched, and hopefully he doesn't mind. It looks a hell of a lot better than it did before. Right now I'm just kind of putting a border of rocks around the driveway. This is like my little rock workshop area here, storage area. I just have more rocks than I know what the heck to do with. Anyway, so I'm working on this now. It's going to go all around the perimeter of the driveway, and then eventually, so this section I got done the other day. There's going to be smaller, see this pile of rocks here, like smaller brick-shaped, or not brick-shaped exactly, but smaller blocky kind of rocks. They're going to form a border that goes here and eventually hooks up with this little retaining wall here. This is a section of the driveway that I also expanded. So the driveway used to be narrower, it formed kind of a bottleneck. So I had to dig out, and this area is above the level of the driveway a good 1.5 feet or so. Like where the base of that tree is probably 2 feet. Had to dig all that out, and that took a long time, a lot of digging, a lot of wheelbarrow moving of dirt and dumping it over there where we were. And then I spread all the gravel myself. I got the crushed stone in the back of Earl. There's probably about, I don't know, 10 or 15 truckloads of crushed stone that I dumped myself and spread out, trying to save money. And then I sort of set up these rocks as a sort of retaining wall. These rocks I got free along the side of the highway, not too far from here, 322, going through State College. And eventually I'll probably extend it all the way down here, get rid of these railroad ties, and have rocks instead. Actually, the first place in this house where I started putting down rocks is just this little part right here. This is what started it all, because the previous owners just had some concrete, pavers that I didn't like. So dug down, of course, put down some rocks, and that's where it started. This I did maybe 4 or 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, I don't know. Here's Bianca. Bianca! Hi, baby. Say hi. So that's all I got. That's my world and my rocks. Oh, there's Callie again. Hi, Callie. See you later.